Hi, thank you for joining us today. We're here to talk about Tulane School Professional Advancement and our Emergency Management Program. My name is Chris Lloyd, and I'm joined here by Dr. Nina Cleveland. We'll give our more formal introductions here in a second, but I wanted to go ahead and talk through our agenda for today and about what we're going to be working through today. So we're going to talk about the history of Tulane and Tulane SoPA, what our offerings are, specifically our Emergency Management Program study, the ways that we help to support student success, how to apply tuition and financial aid, and then we'll handle all those Q&A pieces. So any questions that come along the way or that have already been asked, we'll make sure to address when we get to either that good topic area or at the end. So my name is Chris Lloyd. I'm an admissions associate here at Tulane SoPA. I work really closely with all our prospective students who are in the application process, and students after they've got into the program to help them acclimate to it. So along the way, you'll probably have interactions with me, and if you're ever here at our Elmwood campus, you'll definitely be seeing me up at our front desk. I'm joined today by Dr. Nina Cleveland. Nina, could you give a brief introduction?
Certainly. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here to be able to tell you about our emergency management program. I am professor of practice for emergency management and the associate director for emergency and security studies here at SoPA. My background is academically is public health emergency preparedness and response, nursing and social work. Practice-wise, I've worked in the social work field for about 15 years. And then after I finished my MPH, I worked in district level public health emergency management, and then the CDC for a little while before I came into academia. I'm originally from Georgia, and I moved to Tulane about a year ago.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cleveland. So to give a little bit of history about Tulane, Tulane was first started in 1834 and was founded as the Medical College of Louisiana. From there, Tulane grew its offerings out to include continuing education courses, and this is where Tulane SoPA was born out of. So University College started in 1886. That's when you had those first course offerings as this outreach division of Tulane. And the idea was to offer courses to teachers and to people in the community so that you can get access to some of the benefits of Tulane's campus and community, so you can get an education at a more accessible price point. So we've always been working with working adults and people who are looking to grow their skills, and we're proud to be able to continue that tradition. So in 2017, we actually rebranded as the School of Professional Advancement. Previously, we've been continuing studies. And then for those of you who've been here in the New Orleans area for a little bit longer, you might have known us as University College. Since then, though, we've grown quite a bit. And now one of our major focuses is on offering really flexible programming. So by that, I mean that we offer both online and in-person programming. So you've got master's degrees that can be completed fully online. Right now, you're looking at 6 of them that can be done fully online. You also have certificate programs as well. And then you've got 9 bachelor's degree programs. With the bachelor's degrees, they're not fully online yet, but you can take the vast majority of your coursework online. So it's a really great way for you to be able to engage with your coursework without having to be in the New Orleans area. So I talked a little bit about that delivery method, and you can either be a full or part-time student here, and you have access to our online and on-campus programming. And a lot of the course offerings will have that mixed delivery where you can either do the online or on-campus portion. So if you're someone where you're that tactile learner, you want that in-class experience, you can set up your educational time here to where you're touching most of your classes in person and limiting that online part. Or if you're someone where you have those real-world obligations that might prevent you from being in a class, or you're away from the New Orleans area, you can dial in and you can do those online programs. So that's where you get that either asynchronous delivery, where you're watching it at your own time, doing the coursework when you have that time, or that synchronous delivery, where you actually get that classroom experience, complete with interactions with the professor in your class. So if you're one of those people that wants that in-person part, that's where those day and night classes are really going to work for you. So if you're someone you're working a typical 9 to 5, our classes aren't starting in the evening until 6 p.m. Central, and a typical class is meeting once per week from 6 p.m. until 8:50 p.m. Once you get into the graduate level, your program times might change a little bit, or your delivery methods might change a little bit, depending on what your coursework is, but you can expect a mix of online and on campus. So I wanted to hand over the reins to Dr. Cleveland, talk with a little bit more depth about the program of study for emergency management. So today, I think we're going to focus primarily on certificate programs and the graduate programs, right?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. So the MPS in emergency management is fully online. We are really trying to reach out to folks that are already in the field that want to move up or maybe change positions slightly, or those folks who are looking to change careers into emergency management. So we have spent a lot of time and resources in developing our online courses. It's no longer that here's your assignment, here's your discussion question, it's due at the end of the week. We still have that asynchronous component, but we have put lots of resources into developing video assets and other assets that make these courses very interactive, not only between student and instructor, but also student to student. We have also added elements of synchronicity during the semester so that students can collaborate with each other and they can collaborate with their instructor. For example, last semester I was teaching an intro to emergency management course, and we did a tabletop exercise through the Zoom platform that we use. Zoom is an extremely easy to use conferencing platform. Even if you don't have it on your computer yet, you just hit the button and there it is. The other wonderful thing, and one of the things that brought me down here to this program from Georgia, is that except for myself and the director, all of our instructors are adjunct. And because of that, they are either teaching or working in the field that they're teaching in currently, or have retired from that field. So you, as a student, get a wealth of experience from the instructor in your class. You get lots of real world application, and these classes are extremely engaging. The other element to that is because most of our students are working in the field, they are also bringing their expertise into the classroom, and it makes for an extremely good collaborative environment. Have I forgotten anything to touch on?
No, I don't think so, but I want to definitely call back out some of those elements that you were talking about. And one of those pieces is the faculty composition. And I think that's where SoPA has a really great offering here, where you're getting that industry experience, you're getting that maybe government experience, and then you're being able to marry that with the academic portion. So could you talk a little bit about what some of the backgrounds are of our professors?
We have professors that work in private industry. One of our big focus is that public-private partnership. So we have folks from oil and gas industry, emergency management, food store chain emergency management. We have them from, port operations. We have one former DEA agent who just built a narco-terrorism course for us, which is outstanding. We have folks from local, state, and federal level government sector. We have former FBI agents. We have former state public health folks. We have former, local and state and federal emergency management. So it's just all over the board, and people that have been in these professions for years, and so that they can bring that wealth of knowledge and that expertise into the classroom and share that with you guys.
I think that's a really great piece that SoPA offers, and to be able to have that experience where you have that almost mentorship from your professors through their experience. And then you've got the wonderful advising from your program directors. So people like Dr. Cleveland who've gone through and actually worked on these degrees and then have gone into the field and have that academic basis too. I think that's really unique. Not every school is going to be able to give you that experience to where you get that marriage of public, private, academic.
Yeah.
And that's something that we really can't stress enough. When Dr. Cleveland was listing out all those different backgrounds of our professors, the thing that I hope you guys picked up on is how varied it is, how many different opportunities there are. You're not looking just at federal government, local government, private. So if you're in the New Orleans area, you may be thinking about, how does emergency management apply to me? Where do I see it locally? And think about all of the different events you see here. Think about the festival season, Mardi Gras season. Think about our ports, about all those vital elements of what makes a city run, and emergency management touches that.
And one other element we have is that as an emergency management student, at the end of your program, you will be completing a capstone. And through that capstone, you will be doing a service learning project. That is something that is really important to us, that we give back to our community. So how that works is you'll be matched with a agency either where you are or in New Orleans if you're here, and you will work on a project with them. So that gives you not only the experience of, emergency management experience, but it also gives you the ability to network within that. New Orleans is one of the best places to learn emergency management I can think of, because like Chris, you were saying, we have everything here, from natural disasters to security issues to risk for mass casualty incidents. So, it's an excellent place to learn emergency management.
And just to build on one of the themes that we're talking about here, the opportunity to really be able to engage with your coursework outside of the classroom, that's a great element too. So we're talking about these like mass casualty scenarios. This is something where I've been able to participate in some of these emergency scenarios thanks to my time here at SoPA. And through that, I've been able to see exactly this interaction between all of these various different elements. So one that I went to that was a scenario was that it was a mock Mardi Gras. So they had floats that they pulled out. You had the fire department there. You had DHS. You had all these various elements, and you could see how they all worked together and how it blended. And you can start to imagine how emergency management actually plays out in your daily life, particularly in a city like New Orleans. And so if you're someone local, you've got a really great opportunity to stay within your region, continue working here. And if you're someone outside of the region, think about the applicability to where you live. Maybe you're in the Virginia, D.C. area, and you've got a lot of those government agencies based there. Maybe you're in somewhere where you want to work for a specific company or industry like petroleum, and you can see that there's pathways there. And I think the emergency management program really presents you a lot of pathways, and you get the chance to sort of engage with the things that are most pertinent to you while learning the skills that are going to make you a well-rounded, whether you choose to go as a professional, a private or a corporate employee or a government employee, you've got that wide variety of skills and experience. So I want to talk a little more about what is the actual course content like? How many courses are students taking for our master's level program?
So our master's is 33 hours, and you will have, this program is pretty structured. You have one space for one elective, because our programs, when we developed them, we went out to our industry partners and said, what do our students need to make them work ready for you? And so we designed this program with courses that would do that. These courses also have content that will set you up well to take that basic certification, IAEM certification when you come out. So that's why it's pretty prescriptive. So you will take courses in, an intro to emergency management course, which is that 3,000-foot level about what emergency management is. You will take health and medical issues in emergency management. You will take homeland security and approaches to counterterrorism. You will take business continuity. You will take planning in emergency management. You will also take a cyber course, as well as emergency management administration. This is one of our newer required courses because we have found that while it's not one of the real, sexy kind of emergency management courses, it is, as our director says, the course that will help keep you out of jail. So, as it teaches you about grants management, how to do the daily operations of an emergency management office. It also touches on human resource type issues as well. So what we tried to do is make it so once you exit this program, you feel confident in being able to go out there and do the position that you're applying for, especially if you're using this, as a emergency manager, maybe on the local level, and you might want to move up into state leadership or federal leadership. We wanted to give you those skill sets.
So while we're talking about the MPS, I think it's also important that we go ahead and talk a little bit about the certificate program, because we talked about the flexibility of the offerings here at SoPA. And one of the ways, sorry, my presentation was hanging there for a second. One of the ways that you can really take advantage of this flexibility is through our graduate certificate programs. So for those of you who don't know, the graduate certificate programs are a way for you to take graduate level coursework, be able to walk out with something that is an example of the type of work you've been doing. So the certificate's not a full degree per se, like a master's level, but you are taking these core courses that are going to give you a lot of that skills, and it's going to allow you to sort of take on the courses in a piecemeal way, to where you're taking those first 4 courses to get your certificate before moving on to a full master's program. Dr. Cleveland, could you talk a little bit about what the certificate programs would be focusing on and what students may get out of that?
Certainly. One of the ideas behind this is, I was actually talking to a prospective student the other day, and she has an ER nursing background and has become really interested in emergency or in disaster response. So she already has a master's in nursing, so it may not have been, she may not really need another master's degree, but taking the certificate would give her the knowledge base to move into disaster management from a nursing perspective, maybe to go to work in a hospital as an emergency manager, like in a hospital system. So the way these are designed, there are 2 of them. So you have the first one that you take the first 4 courses, and those are those basic courses that can help you move into the emergency management field. And then, say maybe you've been in emergency management for a while, and you really have the basics, or you've already taken that first one and you want to take it a little bit further, you can take the advanced certificate. The cool thing about this is that they're stackable. So once you take these and you think, and you've done both of them, you're only a few hours away from a full master's, and they all count. So towards that, so it can really set you up to be in a very good place if you want to go on for your master's degree.
It's really a great way, at least this is what I see from our students, it's really a great way for you to be able to test out the program, but walk out with something that is this defined example of your skills. Because with any other master's program, if you're going to be starting it, you're not going to be getting anything until you finish the program. With the certificates, you have a way to say, I want to learn more about it and not commit fully to a master's program. So for those of you that maybe are eyeing career changes, or you're in the field and want something you can show to your employer or potential future employers, that certificate's a great way to show that you have experience with these industry practices and that you have a good base of knowledge that reflects what everyone else is taking out there.
Exactly.
So for those of you that are watching right now, you probably see that there's a lot of really varied career options listed here. And Dr. Cleveland's talked about some of these, but I think the really important thing to think about with this is the various different segments of these jobs where they actually reside. So public, private, maybe in a specific industry. So you're seeing things like training coordinators. So you think about the job site you work on now, the job sites that you may experience, how those sort of roles are playing out. And then we think about more of that like health space where Dr. Cleveland's coming from. So from what we've seen, our students are really getting an opportunity to engage in these different worlds of emergency management, but they're getting a background that's really preparing them for any of those. We're not just setting you up to walk into a private corporation or into a government role. And some of that, I think, is the skill development that you're getting here. Dr. Cleveland, could you talk a little bit about some of the skills that you're actually getting in this program?
Yes, and those are, again, tied right back to the courses that you'll be taking, once in the program. So what you are learning is the various skills it takes to respond to a disaster, to plan for a disaster, to do mitigation planning, and do recovery planning. So, like I said, you're learning about everything from the health and medical issues related to emergency management. What does an emergency manager do in a mass casualty response or in a public health outbreak? What is the role of the local emergency manager? What is the role of the hospital emergency manager? And depending on where you want to go with that, that's where you can look at. We look at, if you want to look at private sector, the business continuity planning is will set you up really well for those private sector positions. The security management, the homeland security, those, they are all different, but they have this huge overlap. And that huge overlap is how we respond, how we mitigate, how we plan. And these are usually the same players in a community locally or at state and federal level that are at those planning tables. So, those are the skills that you will be gaining. The other skill that if I can't, and I always say this in my classes, if I can't teach you one thing this semester, if I teach you how to network and how to develop partnerships, then I feel like I've done a good job, because emergency management is 90% networking and developing relationships. It's, trading those business cards before the event instead of during. So those are some more of the skills that we hope you will come out of this program with.
Did you cue up that segue for me? Because that is a perfect transition to our next point, actually, which is how we help our students achieve their success. So one of the ways that we do that is through the support that we offer. So to go directly to what Dr. Cleveland was saying, Tulane has a huge network of alumni and of adults who are in the community who either work with Tulane, recognize the work Tulane does, or they employ Tulane alumni. And that networking piece is really huge within emergency management. And I think in general for people, anyone that's going out and going into a career change or even trying to grow into a new career, being able to network and being able to understand your place within the ecosystem of the work you do and how you can grow that role is really important. So, if you're walking out of here with a degree that shows that you have skills in the area, you've got experience from the professors that you have who've worked across the discipline in various areas, and then you've been taught how to network and how to sell yourself, I think that's really incredible. And one of the ways that we also help with that is through our career advising. Miss Cynthia Washington is our career advisor over here, And she meets with almost all of our students, whether that's to work on your resume when you're getting in and trying to figure out how can I really package my skills and what I know, or when you're looking at leaving Tulane or even after you've left, to getting those sort of supports for how can I find out about where the jobs are for this field? How can I make sure that my cover letter, my resume, my CV, all of these things are of the highest quality? And that's where I think we have really excellent support there. You know, you're not being put out into a working world without support. So you've got people like Dr. Cleveland who are giving you that roadmap, and then Miss Cynthia Washington who's helping you to walk that path. You're not going to be going through this alone. And to dial back to what we were saying before, the faculty is a really important piece of that. We have a large adjunct faculty that has industry experience. They're people who are going to be able to tell you the lay of the land. They've been through these different government organizations, these private organizations. They belonged to the various organizations that represent the work that they do. They go to professional conferences. So they understand what you're walking into, and they can give you that benefit of experience.
Absolutely. They also have between the director and myself and all of our adjunct faculty, we have a wealth of contacts. So, you know, say you are looking to change your career trajectory just a little bit, or you're coming into this as a new emergency manager, you will have access to those contacts and, you know, help you get a foot in the door. We also, I wanted to let you know, we also have a chapter of the Order of Sword and Shield, which is our honor society for emergency management. You may have heard of it. So we have a new Tulane chapter here. And, you know, if you do excellent work here, your faculty members can nominate you for induction, and that also keeps you connected with Tulane, as well as giving you access to other folks within the Honor Society.
So the last couple of things that I want to make sure we touch on are some more of the ways that we help to support our students. One is academic advising. So for those of you at the undergrad level, you'll be working with our academic advisors. So if you're already looking at another program before you go on to that master's level in emergency management, so maybe you're looking at Homeland Security or something that's a related field, your academic advisors will be working with you to help you plan out what courses you'll be taking, helping you to ensure that you're prepared for that next step, whether it's grad school, such as the MPS in emergency management, or going into the field and working. And they're very, very flexible in the ways that they can meet with you. And I think that's a great thing for a student, especially if you're a working student. So when I talk about flexibility, I mean the ways that you can actually meet with them. So if you're in the New Orleans area, you can drop by in either of our campuses, Uptown or Elmwood. And if you've made an appointment ahead of time with your advisor, you'll be able to meet with them in person. If you're outside of the region, that's where you could use the Zoom teleconferencing. So what you're watching on right now, you could do that with your advisor to where you're getting that sort of live interaction without being in person. Or you can even have those email exchanges. So if you're someone, maybe you're deployed right now and you don't have a steady enough internet to be able to do a video connection, you can do that email exchange. You can get that advising and figure out what's next. And then for those of you at the graduate level, that's where I think you guys are getting really, really high quality advising, because it's from people like Dr. Cleveland. She's going to be the one who works with our grad students. So typically this is talking about your educational career, your goals after you've been in school. So you're getting that sort of holistic look at where you are now and where you want to be, and you're getting it from someone who has a lot of experience. And that I think is awesome. For me personally, when I did my grad school, I didn't have that kind of interaction. I had to schedule out weeks in advance. The professors that I was working with were not often as accessible as Dr. Cleveland or as our other faculty here. And I think that's where Tulane SoPA really shines. Is there anything you want to add to that?
I just wanted to add, you are absolutely right. I make sure I make myself available to students. I love doing independent studies with students where I'm working directly one-on-one with students and their projects. I teach as well, so I'm all about my students, and I'm always here to talk through issues or help you think through what you want to do and connect you up with folks.
Having a thought partner when you're going through grad school is a great resource. Having someone who can help sort of check you and realign what you're thinking about and put you on that path, I think that's really helpful. So for those of you who might be coming into emergency management with a related background and you're trying to figure out how to orient yourself to the space, that's where having good advising is really helpful. So to talk a little bit about those logistical pieces, to actually apply for the undergraduate level, you'd be submitting a $40 application fee and completing an application form on sopa.tulane.edu. At the graduate level, you're still going to the same site and you're looking at a $50 admission fee. With that, if you're joining us today, we'll absolutely waive that fee so that if you're ordering transcripts or if you want to put that money towards books, you can go ahead and set that aside. And then the only things that you have to provide to us are that clear photo of a government issued ID, so an unexpired driver's license, so that we can tell clearly who's submitting the application, and then those transcripts. We do prefer them electronically, but we can also accept them physically. So if maybe you have a sealed copy of your transcript already with a registrar's signature across it or that sticker across it and the signature, we can still accept that. You don't need to order a new one. Or maybe you just have your unofficial transcripts right now. You can provide those to us as well, and we can expedite that review process. When you actually are submitting those transcripts, the electronic transcripts can go to the address listed on this slide, SOPA records at tulane.edu. So SoPA records at tulane.edu. We accept parchment, national clearinghouses, any of those that are the distributors of transcripts can send to that address, or you can also send them physically to Tulane SoPA at 800 East Commerce Road, Suite 100, Harahan, Louisiana, 70123. So if you're rushing to write down this address or that email address, these are also posted on our website. And when you're going through the application, it'll have that information in there as well. So one other little piece is the application deadlines. So you've missed the fall application for graduate level. If you're looking at undergraduate for another program, you just missed that deadline. But if you're a Tulane student or you're someone in our network where getting transcripts is going to be easy or quick, we may still be able to work with you. But I'd advise for anyone, if you're in this evaluation process, take the time to learn more about the program, connect with Dr. Cleveland or me so that you can learn about what types of courses you would take, how your personal experience might translate into maybe earned credits for you already, and then look at that summer or spring application deadline. So with spring, you've got until January 1st for undergrad, but if you're watching today, I got a feeling that you're probably thinking about that graduate level program. So December 15th is what you're looking at there. You've still got quite a bit of time. And then for summer, you've got a May 1st graduate deadline. So if you're still evaluating, finishing out a semester, ordering transcripts, you got plenty of time to get that done. If you're in the New Orleans area, I recommend come visit our campus. Come talk with me and Dr. Cleveland. See what our programs are actually like in person before you start that application. So Tulane SoPA does offer the standard financial aid packages that are available to students at any other school. So that would be federal grants, federal loans. There are some scholarships that are offered. I just saw an email come through today that we awarded over $50,000 in scholarships to students this week. So that's huge. It's a good way for you to be able to reduce that out-of-pocket cost. Some of the other ways that we reduce that out-of-pocket cost is looking at maybe at that undergraduate level, maybe the Yellow Ribbon Scholarship for you if you're military. So if you separated out from the military, you're a veteran, you may qualify for a Yellow Ribbon Scholarship. And if you're not familiar with that, what it does is it helps to offset that cost of attendance between your educational benefits and that full cost of tuition. So you're looking at almost no out-of-pocket cost, and it also does help to pay for books. So we have over 30 of those scholarships. Fantastic way to reduce your out-of-pocket cost and get some financial support in exchange for the service that you've given. And then we also offer 20% discounts for active duty military, veterans. Active duty military extends out to our Coast Guard, National Guard, all these various elements that make up our service member community. And then also we extend it out to teachers and then Orleans and Jefferson Parish employees. So if you're working for City Hall, Sewer and Water Board, one of these various agencies that really helps to make the city run, then that's where you're going to also be receiving that discount. Now, to talk about that one detail that is really going to matter, the cost of tuition right now for fall 2019 and spring 2020 is $1,039 per credit hour. If you're looking nationally at other programs with similar name recognition and prestige, you're going to be looking at a similar price point or more. For those of you that are in the area, this is a really competitive price for grad school for a private program. So you're walking out with a Tulane University degree. There's no commas, there's no colons, there's nothing that says it's School of Professional Advancement instead of just Tulane. So when you go out into the working world and into the community, they're going to see a Tulane degree. And from my experience, Tulane is a national and international brand. People understand the quality of work. They understand the where Tulane is growing towards. So you're looking at something where you have that almost Ivy League level of prestige, but at an accessible price point for you. Not every school out there has something like School of Professional Advancement, where you actually get a chance to be able to engage with high quality coursework that's been designed to match the field, that's been designed to match what the career options are out there. So something that we didn't really talk about too heavily earlier is all of our programs have been designed with the time after school in mind. So what skills, what certifications, what sort of topics of study are going to be pertinent when you go out into the working world. So with that, we mean we work with GNO locally to help with some of our programs to sort of align them to the needs of the workforce. And we've talked a few times here about the petroleum industry and the various elements of emergency management that exist on a day-to-day basis out here. And with that, you've really got a lot of opportunities to engage quickly with your coursework. So, you're going into a program where there's immediate local need and where there's also a recognition of the work that we've done. One last piece that I want to talk about is our credits for prior learning. So this is a way where you can reduce your tuition by taking a portfolio class that costs less than a 3-credit course, and you can take home up to 6 graduate credits from it. So the way that you actually engage with that process is, say you have military experience, you've got work experience, maybe you volunteered, and you have something that is really tied into the field and you think is essential skills that you've learned. That's where you go into this portfolio class and you actually design your portfolio that talks about how these skills apply. And from that, if it is accepted, that's where you can get those 6 credits. So you're looking at a lower cost, so you're reducing your tuition, and you're also looking at accelerating your time here. So you can get out and get done with that degree more quickly. So with that, you've got a really great way if, say, you have a limited time frame that you can actually take courses in, or you have an employer paying for your courses and you don't know how long that'll last. That's a way to accelerate it and get yourself through that door a little bit more quickly. A lot of our students also use it at undergraduate level. So you're looking at the undergraduate level up to 24 credits potentially. So a 1/5 of your college education knocked out from one course potentially. That's a huge financial saving for those of you that are paying out of pocket. So I want to make sure that we get through some of our questions that have been raised today. So I know at the beginning we actually had one that was from Michael, and Michael was wondering about if you have someone who's paying for your time in school, if you can do an upfront payment for all your coursework at once. So this is something where we'd have to connect you with accounts receivable and anyone that actually handles those financial pieces for us. They would be able to tell you if these arrangements can be set up. But from my understanding, you have to have your courses laid out, and then you have to know what the pricing will be per semester. So they may allow you to do that, but it would only probably be 1 semester forward at an absolute maximum. And then even then, you're running into issues related to crediting it to your account and paying for it. So what I would recommend if you're in that situation is figure out what's the maximum number of credits you think you can actually take on in 1 semester. So if you're working a full-time job, that may only be 6 credits. It may only be 2 courses. And then look at maybe doing those certificate programs. So 2 semesters in a certificate program could earn you that certificate. And so if you maybe are unsure if you're going to be able to continue beyond a year because of a tenuousness of position, then that's where it might be a better fit for you. And you're ensuring I'm at least walking out with something, that certificate. And then if you have another year, you can continue on into the graduate program. And so that that might be a way for you to make that work for you. Otherwise, what I'd say is look to see what sort of tuition reimbursement options you have, because there may be a way to where your employer lets you take on some of that cost up front and then pays for it. But I would definitely advise, if you have an HR representative for you who's familiar with this, to connect with them and connect with accounts receivable and financial aid here, because they're going to have a better understanding of that nuance about how these payments could be reflected or held. So just going to check, see if we have any last comments. So Claire was asking, what's the average age of our MPS students and what proportion are on campus versus online? I think Dr. Cleveland's the best one to answer this.
So I'm not sure exactly what the average age is, but we have most of our students are working adults. But however, our Homeland Security programs have been attracting more traditional students, but we're still more working adults in our composition. And are you asking what proportion of students are on campus versus online, or a proportion of courses? So if it's courses, it depends on the program. Like the MPS and emergency management and security management and Homeland Security are all fully online. Our undergraduate in Homeland Security still has on-ground courses as well. And if you're asking a proportion of students who are on campus, again, it depends on the program. So most of our graduate students are going to be online for that.
From my experience, what I've seen is SoPA has less students who are coming out of high school and going straight into our programs. And then at the master's level, it's going to be varied for every program. And that just has to do with the different pathways people are taking. So for our undergraduate level courses, you see a wide band of people. We have students that range in age from 18 to 80 and beyond. And something that I found is that it can make the classroom experience richer. When you have a more diverse set of perspectives, and you also have people who have the benefit of experience or maybe have gone through some of these scenarios before, they can add to the classroom. So those discussions, group projects, anything where you're actually engaging with the rest of the people in your class, you get a more dynamic experience. So I think, not trying to limit yourself into saying, I just want to be with people in my age range or only people above a certain age range. I think like that can be a little bit of a misstep, because you want to give yourself as wide a band of experience as you can get. And that way, when you are going into the field, you have that experience of, I've worked with people from various backgrounds, of various ages, of various orientations, and you have that whole experience that can help you to be a little bit better at understanding and responding to the needs of others. So that's one of those soft skills that people don't really talk about enough from the classroom experience, is learning how to manage with others and learning how to work with others, because you're going to be going into roles that are going to have a lot of collaboration, a lot of cooperation between various parties, and learning how people communicate is a very big piece of that. So Gabriella was asking about, I believe you're asking about the international development context. So is there a lens for which emergency management can apply into that international development?
Absolutely. Disasters know no borders, and the opportunities for emergency management positions run not only domestically but internationally. We have lots of NGOs that have disaster management positions, American Red Cross, Catholic Charities, also CDC and WHO, World Health Organization have disaster response arms. So, the skills you're learning here and how to manage disaster, those principles are applicable no matter where you go.
And Gabrielle also had another question that I think also hits upon something really important within SoPA. So Gabrielle was asking about truly learning those practical skills, how to do things. And there's An example that I think of that we talk about a lot in SoPA, which is there's programs that train you to do something where you can write a paper about it, but you can't recognize it when it's in front of you or how to use it. And I don't think that that's at all what you're experiencing in SoPA. We try to give you practical skills so that you know how to do the work, from the bottom up, so that you're learning all of those pieces and how they interact, and you're not just looking at it from a theoretical perspective. Right. Dr. Cleveland can speak more to that about how that actually plays out. But in general, we're not going to be setting you up for something where you're lacking practical experience.
Absolutely. And that's the idea behind our service learning projects, our other experiential experiences within our courses. I know our planning class, one of their, they had a service learning project where they went out and helped different agencies write response plans. So remember, your faculty are either working or have worked in the fields that they're teaching. So they're going to teach you about those skills. Will you be writing papers? Oh, absolutely. Especially from the standpoint of you have to be able to write well. And the other thing at the master's level that I always stress in my courses is that, and you said it really well earlier, that marriage between the theoretical and the practical. At the master's level, you need to be comfortable with going into the literature and seeing what the evidence says about the things that are being done in emergency management. It's gone away are the days where you get money for a project and you do it just the way you want to do it and there it is. You're going to have to show, did it have an impact? Did what you do have, did it have the impact that you said it was going to have? People want to know where their money is going. So we want you to be able to go into the literature, look at that literature, be able to write it out and write well technically so that you can share this information. And also look at, your programs and other programs critically so that you can say, is this working? And if it is working, this is why. So when you report back up for these grants, you are articulate enough to do that. So in my mind, that is also a practical skill.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on some really important themes there, which are that reading, writing, research, and synthesis of what you're learning. And that's something where no matter what field you go into is an essential skill.
Absolutely.
Being able to take something, diagnose it, and apply the skills and knowledge you have in a synthesized format where you're actually giving something prescriptive or instructive, that's huge. Yeah. Like being able to express yourself in that way gives you a leg up on other people when you're going into the career field. Mm-hmm. So having those critical skills to be able to think and evaluate and research, that's going to make you a better candidate. So, you have those like program specific skills you're learning, and then you have those just good, strong research skills that you're learning that are essential to any graduate program. So to kind of wrap up and sort of tie in some of what we talked about, I just want to reiterate what I think are these really important elements we talked about. One of which is the certificate program versus the master's program. So the stackable nature of those, how you can engage with those first 4 courses and then move on into a master's program if you want. That's something where it gives you a lot of control and gives you the ability to actually take on the coursework in a time frame that's meaningful to you. You're not rushed through it. You're not putting yourself in a position where you're setting yourself up for failure. You can actually take the courses as you have the ability to. The other piece is how these programs actually apply to life outside of the walls of academia. So that public, private, the corporate element, the government element, all of these various organizations that need these sort of workers, that need people who can think critically, who can evaluate problems diagnose, and be able to present thoughtful and articulate responses to them. That's what's going to improve the lives of everyone, having people who know what they're doing and can express it. So you're going to be walking out of here with hard skills, soft skills, and you're going to have support to help sell yourself. We're always going to be able to put you in a position where you have the support that you need. And that's what I think is an important element of SoPA. We want you to succeed, and we want to provide you with as much support as you need. Dr. Cleveland, are there any last thoughts that you want to share with our viewers today?
I just want to encourage you and invite you, if you have any other questions, please reach out and ask. I would love to speak with you on a more in-depth level about our programs.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. And I do want to make sure I include this one last message. Get your application fee waived today. Follow up with me at cloyd3@tulane.edu. So that's CLLOYD3@tulane.edu, or give me a call at 504-865-5333, and we'll be able to make sure you're not paying for that application fee. I recommend going ahead, getting started as soon as possible. It's going to be of no cost to you. So even if you do end up delaying, you're at least taking advantage of that opportunity to submit for free. And then from there, you can still continue with that evaluation. So starting the application is going to be the hardest part, and then we'll be there to assist you for the rest of the journey. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you.